Taewon checked his scanner again. The cargo bay was secure, the ship was running smooth, and the route to New Busan was clear. It should have been a simple job. 3 days of hauling medical supplies across empty space, getting paid, and maybe having enough left over to send his sister Jiwon some extra money for her studies on Earth. But space never stayed simple for long. The distress signal came through at 0400 hours. Taewon was drinking his third cup of coffee when the ship's AI, Nabi, spoke up in her calm voice. "Captain, I'm detecting an emergency beacon. Distance 40,000 kilometers. The signature indicates a Velthara vessel." Taewon sat up straight. The Velthara were one of the big powers in this sector, reptilian humanoids who stood 7 feet tall and could break steel with their bare hands. They didn't send distress signals unless something was very wrong. "Can you identify the ship?" he asked. "Negative. The vessel is too damaged. But the beacon is still broadcasting." "Someone is alive." Taewon rubbed his face. His contract said to deliver the cargo on time. Nothing about rescue missions. But he'd been a soldier once, back in the Korean Special Forces. You didn't leave people to die in space if you could help them. Change course. Let's see what we're dealing with. 20 minutes later, his ship approached the wreckage. What was left of the Velthara vessel looked like it had been hit by military-grade weapons. The hull was torn open in 3 places. Debris floated everywhere. Nabi, any life signs? One very weak. Located in the aft section. Taewon suited up and grabbed his rifle. Something felt wrong about this. Velthara ships had shields, weapons, and armor. This looked like an assassination, not an accident. He crossed the empty space between the ships and cut his way inside. The corridor was dark except for his helmet light. Emergency systems were failing. The air was thin and cold. He found her in what looked like a sleeping cabin. She was Velthara, but smaller than the males he'd seen. Maybe 6 feet tall, with dark green scales that shimmered even in the dim light. She wore torn robes that might have been expensive once. Blood, dark blue Velthara blood, covered her side. Her eyes opened when his light hit her face. They were gold and very aware. "Human?" she whispered in accented English. "Yeah, I got your distress call. Can you move?" They will come back. "The hunters. You should leave me. Not happening." "Come on." He got her arm over his shoulder. She was heavier than she looked and even injured. He could feel the dense muscle under her scales. If she'd been healthy, she could have carried him like a child. They were halfway back to the airlock when Nabi's voice crackled in his helmet. "Captain, 3 ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're heading towards you fast. How long?" 4 minutes. Taewon cursed and moved faster. The Velthara woman tried to keep up, but she was fading. He could see the blood trail behind them. They made it to his ship with 90 seconds to spare. He sealed the airlock and strapped her into the co-pilot seat. His hands flew over the controls. "Nabi, get us out of here." "Maximum burn. They're targeting us. 3 vessels, fighter class, heavily armed. Evasive patterns. Now." The ship lurched as Nabi threw them into a hard turn. Weapons fire streaked past the viewports. Taewon's old freighter wasn't built for combat, but it was tough and Nabi was smart. "Who are they?" he asked the woman. "Krell operatives," she gasped. "Sent to kill me. Why?" "Because I refused to marry their prince." Taewon blinked. That was one hell of a reason to send assassins. The ship shook as something hit the rear shields. Red lights flashed across the console. "Shields at 40%, Nabi reported. Taewon's mind raced. 3 fighters against a freighter. He couldn't outrun them and he couldn't outgun them. But maybe he could outsmart them. "Nabi, there's an asteroid field 2 minutes from here. Plot a course through it." "Captain, the cargo..." "Forget the cargo. Just do it." The asteroids appeared on the screen like a wall of tumbling rock. Some were small as houses. Others were large as cities. The fighters followed them in. Taewon flew like his life depended on it because it did. He dove between asteroids, rolled under a spinning chunk of ice, and used the rocks for cover. The fighters were faster but less agile. One clipped an asteroid and exploded in a bright flash. 2 left. "They're still coming," Nabi said. The woman in the co-pilot seat reached over and touched his arm. Even through his flight suit, he could feel the heat of her fever. "There," she said, pointing at the screen. "That asteroid. It has ice," Taewon understood. He aimed for the asteroid and fired his cutting laser at it. The ice flash boiled into steam, creating a massive cloud. He dove into it, cut the engines, and went dark. The fighters flew past, searching. Taewon held his breath. Seconds crawled by, then they moved on. They're leaving the asteroid field, Nabi confirmed. I think we lost them. Taewon let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. He turned to the woman. Okay, now you tell me who you really are. She looked at him with those gold eyes. Blood dripped from her mouth. I am Princess Hana of House Velthera, daughter of Queen Seora, and you, human, have just saved the life of the Empire's heir. Then she did something that made Taewon's blood run cold. She took his hand, bit her own palm until it bled, and pressed their wounds together. She spoke in her own language, words that sounded like a ritual. What are you doing? He demanded. Binding you to me. Blood debt. My life, for yours forever. Her eyes closed. Her hand went limp. Nabi, get me to the nearest medical station now. Captain, there are no stations within range that can treat Velthera physiology. We need to reach Velthos Prime. That's 2 weeks away. Then I suggest you start praying she lasts that long. And, Captain, when the Queen finds out her daughter nearly died, there will be consequences, especially now that you're bloodbound. Taewon looked at the unconscious princess, her blue blood mixed with his red on his palm. What the hell did I just get myself into? Nabi didn't answer. The ship turned toward Velthara space. Behind them, the stars seemed to watch and wait. In the cargo bay, the medical supplies remained secure. The contract would be broken. The payment would be lost. But Taewon had made a choice. He'd saved a life. He just didn't know yet what that life would cost him. Taewon woke to the sound of water. Not the mechanical recycling of a ship's systems, but real water flowing somewhere nearby. His eyes opened slowly, and he saw a ceiling made of something that looked like white crystal. Soft light came from everywhere and nowhere at once. This wasn't his ship. He tried to sit up and found that his body responded smoothly. Too smoothly. The last thing he remembered was fever and pain. He'd given blood to Princess Hana 3 times during the journey because she was dying. By the end, he'd barely been able to stand. You are awake. Good. A Velthara male stood at the door. He wore white robes and carried a data tablet. His scales were pale blue, and his eyes were the color of deep water. Where am I? The Royal Medical Center. Velthos Prime. You have been unconscious for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Taewon looked at his hands. They should have been weak and pale from blood loss. Instead, they looked healthy, strong. He pulled back the sheet and saw that old scars on his arms had faded to almost nothing. What did you do to me? We saved your life. The princess commanded it. You gave your blood for her. We returned the favor. The male's expression was unreadable, though the queen was, displeased by the necessity. I want to leave. That is not possible. Why not? You will understand soon. Princess Hana has been asking for you. She comes every day. As if summoned by her name, the door opened again. Hana walked in, and Taewon almost didn't recognize her. The dying girl from his ship was gone. This Hana stood tall and healthy. Her scales gleamed like emeralds. She wore robes of deep purple that marked her as royalty. Leave us, she told the doctor. The male bowed and departed. Hana sat in a chair beside the bed. Her gold eyes studied him carefully. You look well, she said. You look better than well. I thought you were going to die. I would have. Without you, I would have died in space. The hunters would have won. My mother's enemies would have celebrated. About that? Who exactly wants you dead? Hana's expression darkened. The Krell Empire. They are warriors. Conquerors. Their Prince Durak was promised my hand in marriage. It would unite our empires and make us the strongest force in this sector. But you didn't want to marry him. Would you want to marry someone? Who sees you as a prize? Who collects wives like weapons? She shook her head. I ran, stole a ship and tried to reach the neutral zones. The Krell sent hunters after me. And now? Now you are a hero, the human who saved the princess. My mother wants to meet you. Something in her tone made Taewon nervous. Should I be worried? My mother is. Complicated, but she honors debts. You will be rewarded. I don't want a reward. I want to go home. My sister is on Earth. She's in university, studying xenobiology. I send her money every month. She'll be worried. Hana's face softened. You have a sister? You never mentioned her. We didn't have much time for conversation. You were busy dying, and you were busy saving me." She reached out and took his hand. Her scales were warm and smooth. "The blood ritual I performed. Do you remember? Hard to forget someone biting their own hand and pressing it to yours. It is an old tradition, a life debt. You saved me, so I bound myself to you. My life is yours until the debt is repaid." "Okay, so we're even. You saved my life too. Your doctors healed me. Debt paid." Hana's expression turned sad. "It is not that simple. My mother has declared you my shield sworn." "What does that mean?" "It means you are bound to protect me. For life. You cannot leave Velthos Prime without permission. You cannot return to your old life. You belong to the royal house now." Tae-Wan stared at her. Then he started laughing. It wasn't funny, but he couldn't stop himself. "You're joking. Tell me you're joking." "I wish I were." He stood up. The room spun for a second, then steadied. "No. No way. I saved your life because it was the right thing to do, not because I wanted to be some kind of royal bodyguard. I'm leaving." "You cannot. The Queen has declared it. Under Velthara law. I don't care about Velthara law. I'm human. Your laws don't apply to me. You are on Velthos Prime. You are in the royal palace. Here my mother's word is absolute." Tae-Wan walked to the window. Outside, he saw a city that made Earth's biggest metropolises look like villages. Towers of crystal and metal reached toward a sky that was more purple than blue. Ships flew between buildings in organized streams. In the distance, he could see the curve of the planet. It was beautiful, and it was a cage. "I want to see this queen," he said quietly. "That can be arranged. But Tae-Wan, be careful. My mother is not cruel, but she is a ruler first. She sees everything in terms of power and politics. To her, you are a useful piece on the board. Then I'll make sure she knows I'm not interested in playing." The Queen received him in a throne room that seemed designed to make visitors feel small. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into shadow. Guards lined the walls, each one 7 feet of scaled muscle and military discipline. The throne itself was carved from a single piece of black stone. Queen Seora sat upon it like she'd been born there. She was larger than Hana. Her scales were darker, almost black, with hints of red. Her eyes were silver. She wore armor instead of robes, and a crown that looked more like a weapon than jewelry. "The human who saved my daughter," she said. Her voice carried across the enormous room. "Approach." Tae-Wan walked forward. He didn't bow. Seora's eyes narrowed. "You do not show respect to your queen?" "With respect, you're not my queen. I'm human. From Earth. I saved your daughter because it was right, not because I wanted anything from you." Silence. Every guard's hand moved toward their weapon. Then Seora laughed. It was a sound like thunder. Bold. Foolish, but bold. "I see why my daughter speaks well of you." She leaned forward. "But boldness does not change law. You are blood-bound. You are shield-sworn. You will remain here and protect Princess Hana. In return, you will have wealth, status, and honor." "I don't want those things. I want to go home." "Home?" Seora said the word like it was foreign. "To your small planet. Your small life. Hauling cargo across empty space. Is that truly what you want?" "It's my life. My choice." "Choice." Seora stood. She was massive. 8 feet tall at least. She walked down the steps until she stood before him. "You think you have a choice?" Tae-Wan met her eyes. His heart pounded, but he didn't look away. "Everyone has a choice, even if the consequences are bad." For a long moment, they stared at each other. Then Seora smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. "Very well. You have spirit. I respect that. But understand this, human. The Krell still want my daughter dead. The marriage alliance is broken. War may come. If you leave now, she will die. Can you live with that? That's not fair. Life is not fair. It is merely what we make of it. She turned away. You will stay for 1 year. Train my guards. Teach them your human tactics. After 1 year, if you still wish to leave, we will discuss it again. It wasn't freedom, but it was something. Fine, 1 year. Excellent. Colonel Murray will show you to your quarters. She paused. And Taiwan? Do not think about escape. This palace has security that would make your Earth governments weep with envy. You are here. Accept it. As guards escorted him away, Taiwan looked back once. Queen Seora was watching him, and Princess Hana stood in a doorway, her expression unreadable. He'd saved her life. Now he was trapped by that same choice. 1 year, he told himself. 1 year and then home. He didn't yet know that some promises are easier made than kept. 6 months had passed since Taiwan had woken up in the Royal Medical Center. 6 months of training Velthara guards who thought humans were weak. 6 months of living in a gilded cage. 6 months of trying not to think about how Princess Hana looked at him sometimes. The training ground was hot under Velthos Prime's sun. 20 royal guards stood in formation before him. Each one could bench press a small vehicle. Each one had reflexes twice as fast as his. Each one thought this human had nothing to teach them. Taiwan smiled. Okay, today's lesson is simple. Attack me, all of you. At once, the guards looked at each other. One of them, a male named Kiros, stepped forward. We cannot. You are under the Queen's protection. To harm you would be... I'm giving you permission, come on. Show me what you've got. They came at him like a green-scaled avalanche. Taiwan didn't try to match their strength. Instead, he moved between them. He used their size against them. When Kiros threw a punch, Taiwan wasn't there. He dropped low and swept the guard's legs. Kiros fell hard, another guard grabbed for him. Taiwan twisted, used the guard's own momentum, and sent him stumbling into 2 others. They went down in a tangle of limbs and cursing. The fight lasted 3 minutes. When it was over, all 20 guards were on the ground. Taiwan stood in the center, barely breathing hard. Size and strength mean nothing if your opponent is smarter and faster. Remember that. Slow clapping echoed across the training ground. Colonel Mire walked toward them. She was older than most Velthara Taiwan had met, with scales that had faded to gray, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. Impressive display, human. Just doing my job, Colonel. Walk with me. They left the training ground and entered the palace gardens. Trees from a dozen worlds grew here, creating shade and beauty. Water fountains sang in the afternoon heat. You are unhappy, Mirai said. It wasn't a question, I'm trapped. But yeah, other than that, everything's great. The Queen values you, more than you know. She has a funny way of showing it, keeping me here against my will. Mirai stopped walking and looked at him directly. There are things you do not understand. Political things. Dangerous things. Like what? The Krell Empire grows impatient. They demand Princess Hana be sent to marry Prince Durak. Every day the Queen refuses, the threat of war grows larger. Your presence here, it complicates matters. How? Because Hana cares for you. Everyone can see it. And you care for her, though you try to hide it. Taiwan said nothing. The Krell see this as an insult. A human, stealing their promised bride? It makes them angry. But it also makes them cautious. They wonder what game the Queen is playing. And what game is she playing? Mirai's expression turned sad. That is something only she knows. But be careful, Taiwan. In the Queen's court, everyone is a piece on the board. Even you. That evening, Taiwan found Hana in her private garden. She sat by a pond watching alien fish swim in circles. She'd changed from her formal robes to something simpler, almost human-looking. Can I join you? He asked. You never asked permission before. Why start now? He sat beside her. The fish scattered, then slowly returned. Mirai says people are talking about us. People are always talking. It is what courtiers do. She says the Krell are angry about me being here. Hana's hand tightened on the stone bench. Let them be angry. I did not ask to be traded like property. I did not ask for any of this. What do you want? She turned to him. In the fading light, her scales seemed to glow. I want to choose my own path. I want to wake up without wondering if assassins will come. She stopped. What? I want impossible things. Before Taiwan could respond, alarms blared across the palace. Guards shouted. Weapons fire echoed from somewhere inside. Stay here, Taiwan commanded. He ran toward the sound. The state banquet hall was chaos. Nobles screamed and ran for exits. Dead guards lay on the marble floor. And in the center of it all, 3 figures in black armor fought their way toward the royal table, toward Queen Seora. Taiwan grabbed a fallen guard's weapon. He didn't know how to use Velthara energy rifles, so he looked for something simpler. He found a blade. Close combat. That he could do. The assassins moved like professionals. They'd studied Velthara fighting styles. They expected guards to come at them with overwhelming force. They didn't expect a human to slide under their defensive line and hamstring the first one. The assassin fell, screaming. His partners turned. Taiwan was already moving. He threw the blade, catching the second assassin in the throat. The third one fired. The energy bolt missed Taiwan by inches and blew a hole in the wall behind him. Taiwan dove, rolled, and came up with the first assassin's weapon. He fired 3 times. The third assassin went down. Silence fell over the banquet hall. Queen Seora stood behind her overturned table, unhurt. Her guards finally arrived, too late to help. She looked at Taiwan, at the 3 dead assassins, at the weapon in his hands. You saved my life. Yeah, you're welcome. Do you know who sent them? Taiwan pulled the helmet off the nearest assassin. The face underneath was Velthara, but the armor was marked with Krell symbols. I think I can guess. The court exploded into action. Nobles demanded war. Military advisors called for mobilization. Everyone had an opinion. Queen Seora silenced them with a single raised hand. Enough. We will not rush into war, but neither will we tolerate this insult. She looked at Taiwan again. It seems I owe you another debt, human. I don't want a debt. I want my freedom. Freedom. Seora smiled that cold smile of hers. Perhaps we can negotiate. Come to my private chambers. We will talk. The Queen's private chambers were smaller than Taiwan expected. Comfortable. Almost human in their scale. Seora removed her crown and set it aside. Without it, she looked tired, old. Do you know why the Krell want my daughter? She asked. The marriage alliance, power, control, conquest. If they marry into our royal line, they gain legitimacy, our technology, our resources. Within a generation, they would absorb us completely. The Velthara would cease to exist as an independent people. So why consider it at all? Because refusing means war. And war means millions dead. How many lives is my daughter's happiness worth? Taiwan understood. It was an impossible choice. The kind that leaders faced and soldiers didn't. What if there was another option? He asked carefully. What option? What if Hana didn't marry the Krell prince? What if she married someone else? Someone unexpected? Seora's silver eyes gleamed. Are you volunteering, human? No, hell no. I'm just saying. Maybe there's a way out that doesn't involve war or surrender. There might be, but it would require sacrifices. From everyone involved. She stood and walked to the window. I have a proposal. I will send Hana away. To a neutral colony. Far from here, with you as her only guard. Why would you do that? To buy time. To make the Krell uncertain. To explore possibilities. She turned back. But understand this. If you go, you are committing to her protection, completely. No running back to Earth, no abandoning your duty. Can you do that? Taiwan thought of Hana, of her laugh when he taught her a human joke, of the way she'd started learning Korean to surprise him, of how she looked at the stars and talked about wanting to see Earth someday. How long? As long as necessary, weeks, months, perhaps years. And then? Then we will see what the galaxy decides. It wasn't freedom, but it was a different kind of cage. One with Hana in it. When do we leave? Tomorrow. I will make the announcement tonight. The Krell will protest, let them. My daughter's life is worth more than their pride. Seora's expression softened slightly. You care for her, I see it. Perhaps that is why I trust you. A mercenary would have run by now. A politician would have tried to leverage this for gain. But you just want to keep her safe. She deserves to be safe. Yes, she does. Seora picked up her crown again. The tired woman disappeared. The Queen returned. Go, prepare, and Taiwan. Thank you. For saving my life. For saving hers. I will not forget it. Taiwan found Hana still in her garden. She stood when she saw his expression. What happened? Pack light. We're leaving tomorrow. Leaving? Where? Away from here. Just you and me. Your mother's orders. Hana's expression cycled through confusion, hope, and fear. For how long? As long as it takes. Takes for what? Taiwan smiled. To figure out what happens next. She stepped closer. Close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her scales. Are you afraid? Terrified. Good. That makes two of us. Above them, Velthos Prime's 3 moons rose into the purple sky. Somewhere in the darkness, the Krell Empire watched and plotted. But for this moment in this garden, Taiwan allowed himself to feel something other than trapped. He felt hope. The stealth courier ship was called the Silent Wing. It was small, fast, and designed to avoid detection. Perfect for smuggling a princess across hostile space. Taiwan sat in the pilot's seat, watching the stars stretch past as they jumped to faster-than-light travel. Behind him, Hana was exploring the ship's tiny living quarters with the excitement of someone who'd never been anywhere without a dozen servants. "This is the kitchen?" she called out. "It's called a galley on a ship, and yes, it is so small. How do you prepare food?" "Carefully." She appeared in the doorway holding a package of instant noodles. "What is this?" "That is survival food, also known as the reason human space travelers don't starve. Can you teach me to make it?" Taiwan looked at her. Princess Hana of House Velthara, heir to an empire, holding instant noodles like they were treasure. "Yeah, I can teach you." The first week of their journey established a routine. Taiwan piloted during the day cycles. Hana learned to use human technology. They ate meals together in the tiny galley. They talked about everything and nothing. Hana told him about growing up in the palace, about tutors and guards and never being alone, about watching her mother make impossible decisions, about feeling like a chess piece instead of a person. Taiwan told her about Earth, about Seoul where he grew up, about joining the military because his family had no money, about losing his parents to a transport accident, about promising to take care of Jiwon no matter what. "You love your sister very much," Hana observed one evening. They were eating dinner, rice and vegetables that Taiwan had shown her how to prepare. "She's all I have left. She's smart, you know, studying xenobiology. She wants to help humans and aliens understand each other better. She sounds remarkable, like her brother. I'm not remarkable. I'm just a guy who hauls cargo. You saved a princess. You fought assassins. You stood up to a queen that is not just anything." Taiwan looked at his plate. "I did what anyone would do." "No, you did what you thought was right even when it cost you. That is rare." Their hands were close on the table. Hana's scaled fingers nearly touched his human ones. Neither of them moved. "I should check our course," Taiwan said, standing quickly. He didn't see Hana's disappointed expression. 2 weeks into the journey, Taiwan started teaching Hana to fight. The ship's cargo bay was barely large enough, but they made it work. "Your people rely on strength," he explained. "That's fine when you're stronger than your opponent. But what if you're not? Then I lose? Then you get creative." He demonstrated a joint lock. Leverage, balance, technique. These things don't care how strong you are. Pain works on everyone. Hana practiced the move. Her first attempts were clumsy. Velthara bodies moved differently than human ones. But she was determined. "Again," she demanded after failing the 5th time. "Take a break. You're getting frustrated." Again. On the 7th attempt, she got it right. Taiwan found himself on his back, his arm locked. Hana's weight pinning him down, their eyes met. She was breathing hard, so was he. The moment stretched. "Good work," he said quietly. She released him and stood quickly. "Thank you. For teaching me. Anytime." But something had shifted. They both felt it. 3 weeks in, the first Krell patrol found them. Alarms shrieked. Taiwan lunged for the controls. "Strap in now. What is it?" "Company. The bad kind." 2 Krell fighters appeared on the scanner. They were fast and heavily armed. "The Silent Wing was built for stealth, not combat. Can we outrun them?" Hana asked. "Not in open space, but there's a debris field ahead. Old battlefield. We can lose them there." "That sounds dangerous." "It is, but dying is worse." The Silent Wing dove into the debris field. Old warships floated like metal ghosts. Weapons fire from the Krell fighters lit up the darkness. Taiwan flew like a man possessed. He threaded the ship between broken hull sections and spinning reactor cores. The Krell followed, but they were bigger ships, less maneuverable. A blast rocked the Silent Wing. Shields flickered. "We cannot take many more hits," Hana said, watching the shield indicators drop. "I know." "Hold on." Taiwan spotted what he was looking for. An old cruiser split in half, the interior still open. He aimed the silent wing straight at it. Taewon, you are going to fly through that? Yep, it is too narrow. Probably. They shot through the broken cruiser like a bullet through a pipe. Metal screamed against their shields. Then they were out the other side. Behind them, one Krell fighter tried to follow. It didn't make it. The explosion lit up the debris field. The second fighter kept its distance, but it didn't leave. They are calling for reinforcements, Hana said, checking the communications. 3 more ships. They will be here in 10 minutes. Taewon's mind raced. 4 Krell fighters. No way to outrun them. No way to fight them. Unless… Hana, can you access your royal command codes from here? Yes, but why? And do it. I need you to broadcast on all Krell military frequencies. What should I say? Tell them you're going public with evidence of their assassination attempt on your mother. Tell them the whole galaxy will know they tried to kill Queen Seora. Hana's eyes widened. They will deny it. Maybe, but the scandal will hurt them. Their honor is everything. Make them choose between capturing you and protecting their reputation. Hana's fingers flew over the communications panel. She spoke in her own language, her voice carrying the weight of command. Even not understanding the words, Taewon could hear the threat in her tone. The Krell fighters didn't respond, but after a long minute they turned away. They are leaving, Hana whispered. Not forever. We bought time, that's all. Time for what? To get to Earth, to get help. 4 weeks into the journey, they stopped at New Busan for supplies. The colony was small but busy. Humans mixed with a dozen alien species in markets and bars. Hana wore a hooded cloak to hide her distinctive scales. She walked close to Taewon, taking in everything. It is so different from Velthara cities, she said. Smaller, messier. That's humanity for you. We make do. At the market, Taewon bought real food, fresh vegetables, actual meat. Hana watched people haggle and laugh and live their lives. They seem happy, even though they have so little. Happiness isn't about what you have, it's about what you do with it. Is that human wisdom? That's what my mother used to say. They were heading back to the ship when Taewon heard a familiar voice. Taewon? Is that really you? He turned. Jiwon stood there, older than he remembered, her hair cut short, wearing a research institute uniform. Jiwon? She ran to him and hugged him hard. You bastard. You stopped sending messages 6 months ago. I thought you were dead. It's complicated. What are you doing here? Research project. Studying Velthara biology, actually. She stepped back and noticed Hana. Her eyes widened as Hana's hood slipped, revealing her scales. Oh my God. You're Velthara. Wait. You're Princess Hana. I've seen your picture in the news. The one who disappeared. Please, Hana said quickly. We need discretion. Jiwon looked between them. Her scientist brain connected the dots. You're in trouble. Both of you. Like I said, complicated. They talked for hours in Taewon's old apartment. He explained everything. Jiwon listened, her expression cycling through disbelief and concern. So you're on the run from the Krell Empire. You've got royal guards probably looking for you. And you're headed to Earth, that's insane. Yeah, but what choice do we have? Jiwon looked at Hana. You really ran away from home to avoid an arranged marriage? I ran away to avoid losing myself. There is a difference, I respect that. Jiwon smiled. Okay, I'll help. I can get you fake transit papers. Earth Customs won't look too closely if the paperwork is right. Thank you, Hana said softly. Don't thank me yet. Earth isn't going to know what to do with a Velthara princess. Things are about to get very complicated for my brother. They already are, Taewon muttered. That night, Hana found Taewon on the apartment's small balcony. The city lights spread below them like stars. Your sister is wonderful, she said. She's something special. She looks at you with such love. You are lucky to have family. Don't you have family? I have a mother who sees me as a political tool. I have cousins who want my throne. That is not the same as what you and Jiwon have. Taewon turned to face her. When this is over, when you're safe, what will you do? I do not know. Return home, perhaps. Face whatever comes. She looked at him. What will you do? Go back to hauling cargo, I guess. Try to rebuild my life. Like, is that what you want? I don't know anymore. 6 months ago, I had simple answers. Now, he trailed off. Now, he looked at her. Really looked at her. At the way the city lights reflected in her gold eyes. At how her scales caught every color. At the way she stood close enough to touch. Now everything's different. Hana reached up and touched his face. Her scaled hand was warm and gentle. For me too. she whispered. They stood that way for a long moment. The city breathed around them. Above, ships moved between stars. Then alarms sounded. Krell warships were dropping out of faster-than-light travel. We need to go, Taewon said. Now. They ran for the silent wing. Jiwon ran with them, helping with last-minute supplies. As they sealed the airlock, she hugged her brother one more time. Don't die out there. I'll try. The silent wing launched into chaos. 3 Krell warships were in orbit. Fighters swarmed like angry insects. Taewon pointed the ship toward Earth and pushed the engines to maximum. Hold on. This is going to be rough. The United Earth Council chambers in Geneva were built to impress visiting aliens. High ceilings, marble floors, displays of human achievement on every wall. But today, they felt small. Queen Seora sat at one end of the massive conference table. She'd brought her entire armada, visible through the windows as they hung in orbit like a promise or a threat. The Earth delegates sat nervously at the other end. Between them sat Taewon and Hana. Let me be clear, said Ambassador Park, the senior Earth representative. We cannot hand over Princess Hana. She requested asylum. Earth grants asylum to those who need it. I am not asking you to hand her over, Seora said calmly. I came to retrieve my daughter personally. With 50 warships. Park didn't hide her sarcasm. The Krell have 300 in this sector. I brought what seemed appropriate. Hana stood. Mother, I will not return to be married off to Prince Durak. I will not be used as a bargaining chip. Sit down, child. We have much to discuss. Something in Seora's tone made Hana obey. Taewon tensed beside her. For the past year, Seora began, I have been building alliances. Quietly. Carefully. Species who are tired of Krell expansion. Species who see the danger in allowing them to absorb the Velthara Empire. She activated a holographic display. A star map appeared, showing dozens of star systems in different colors. Blue represents Velthara territory. Red is Krell. Gold are neutral powers who have agreed to support us in opposing the marriage alliance. Taewon leaned forward. There was a lot of gold on that map. You played the Krell, he said slowly. From the beginning, you were never going to honor that marriage alliance. Correct. Seora's silver eyes gleamed. I needed time to build support. I needed the Krell to reveal their true nature through their actions. Assassination attempts hunting my daughter, attacking human colonies to find her. They have shown the galaxy exactly what kind of empire they are. So why come here? Park asked. Why involve Earth? Because of him. Seora pointed at Taewon. A human saved my daughter's life. A human protected her for months while I built my coalition. A human has shown courage and honor that many of my own people lack. I still don't understand. I am offering Earth a place in the new alliance. A seat at the table where galactic policy is decided, but it comes with a condition. Taewon felt dread building. What condition? Seora stood and walked around the table. She stopped in front of him and Hana. You will marry my daughter. You will become prince consort of the Velthara Empire. Humanity will be bound to our royal house through blood and law. Together, our peoples will face the Krell and any other threat that comes. The room erupted. Earth delegates shouted questions. Velthara advisors argued in their own language. Someone's coffee spilled. Taewon sat frozen. Hana grabbed his hand under the table. No, Taewon said quietly. The room fell silent. What did you say? Seora asked. I said no. Taewon stood. I won't be a political tool. I won't marry Hana because it's convenient for your plans. If you want to elevate Earth's status, do it because it's right, because humans deserve respect. Not because you need me to legitimize your daughter. You dare refuse? Yes, I dare. I've been a pawn since the day I saved Hana's life. Bloodbound. Shield sworn, trapped. No more. I'm done being used. Seora's expression was unreadable. You would throw away this opportunity? For humanity? For yourself? I would throw away anything that treats people like chess pieces. Even if Hana wants to marry you? Taewon turned to Hana. Her gold eyes were wet with tears she was fighting to hold back. "Do you?" he asked. "Or is this another duty? Another sacrifice you're making for your people?" Hana stood. Her voice shook but stayed strong. "Mother, I renounce my claim to the throne." Seora's eyes widened. "You cannot." "I can. I will. I am tired of being a prize, a symbol, a tool. I want to choose my own life, and I choose to stay here, on Earth, as an ambassador, if they will have me. But not as a princess, not anymore." "You would give up everything? Your title? Your wealth? Your future?" "Yes, because none of that matters if I cannot choose who I am." The room was dead silent. Even the Velthara advisors had stopped arguing. Seora looked at her daughter for a long moment. Emotions flickered across her scaled face, pride, sadness, and something that might have been understanding. "Very well. You have made your choice." She turned to Taewon. "And you? Will you let her make this sacrifice?" "It's not my choice to make. It's hers." Wise answer. Seora walked back to her seat. She suddenly looked tired. "Do you know why I brought you here, human? Why I trapped you in my palace? Why I bound you with laws and traditions? Because you needed me to protect Hana." "No. I needed to see if you would refuse, if you would fight for freedom even when it was easier to submit. My daughter needed someone who valued choice above comfort, someone who would never cage her, even with love." She sat down heavily. "I have been a queen for 40 years. I have made countless decisions, hard decisions. I have sacrificed much for my people, including, I think, the chance to know my daughter as anything other than an heir." She looked at Hana. "I am sorry for that." Hana's tears finally fell. "Mother, you are free. Both of you. The blood bond is broken. The shield-sworn oath is void. I release you." "Just like that?" Taewon asked carefully. "Just like that. Though I suspect you will find freedom is more complicated than you imagined." Seora smiled slightly. "You love my daughter. Do not deny it. I have watched you both for months. The question is what you will do with that love." Taewon looked at Hana. She looked back. The entire council chamber watched them. "I don't know," Taewon admitted. "We're from different worlds, different species, this is." He gestured helplessly. "Complicated?" Hana suggested. "Yeah. Good. Simple things are boring." "Despite everything," Taewon laughed. "You're serious." "I am. I want to know Earth. I want to understand humanity. I want to build bridges between our peoples, not through marriage alliances or political games, but through genuine understanding. And I want you beside me. Not because you have to be, because you choose to be. What if I'm terrible at the whole ambassador-boyfriend thing? Then you will learn, like I learned to make instant noodles. Those were terrible. They improved." Seora cleared her throat. "As touching as this is, we still have political matters to address. Ambassador Park, I formally offer Earth a place in our coalition against Krell expansion. No marriage is required, simply mutual respect and cooperation." Park looked at her fellow delegates. Silent conversations happened with glances. Finally, she nodded. "We accept. But we want formal treaties, equal representation, no backroom deals." "Agreed. We will begin negotiations tomorrow." Seora stood. "Now, if you will excuse me, I have an empire to run and a former marriage alliance to officially terminate. Hana, you will visit home sometimes, yes?" "Yes, Mother." "Good. And human. Taewon. Thank you for seeing my daughter as a person, not a princess. That is a rarer gift than you know." She swept out, her advisors following. Half the Velthara armada began preparing to leave Earth orbit. Ambassador Park approached them. "So, this is unprecedented. A Velthara princess staying on Earth. We'll need to arrange housing, security, official status. This is going to be a paperwork nightmare." "I can help with that. Ji-won said, appearing from where she'd been watching. I work with the Xenobiology Institute. We have facilities, resources, and I'm really good at paperwork. You're Taewon's sister? Park asked. Yeah, which means I'm now the princess's future sister-in-law, apparently. My family is moving up in the world. We are not getting married, Taewon and Hana said at the same time. Yet, Ji-won added with a grin. 1 year later, Taewon stood in the training facility he'd built with his saved money and a grant from the United Earth Council. The academy taught human and alien students together. Combat techniques, cultural exchange, mutual understanding. It was small, but it was his. Hana entered wearing casual Earth clothes, jeans and a sweater that Ji-won had convinced her to try. She still looked exotic and beautiful, but more relaxed than she'd ever been in the palace. Your afternoon class is here, she said. 12 students, 8 human, 4 Velthara. How are they doing? The humans are teaching the Velthara about persistence. The Velthara are teaching the humans about honor. It is going well. Taewon smiled. Good. That's what this is about. Hana moved closer. They'd been together for a year now, learning each other, building something real. It wasn't always easy. Cultural differences created misunderstandings. Her royal background sometimes clashed with his working-class instincts. But they worked at it. My mother is visiting next week, Hana said. I know, Ji-won's excited. She wants to interview her about Velthara bio-regeneration techniques. Mother is bringing news. The Krell have agreed to peace talks. The coalition is growing stronger. What you helped start here is spreading across the sector. I didn't start anything, I just saved someone's life. You saved mine. And in doing so, you changed the galaxy. She kissed him softly. Now come. Your students are waiting. They walked together toward the training room. Through the windows, Earth's sky was blue and clear. Above, ships from a dozen worlds passed overhead. Trade ships, tourist vessels, ambassador shuttles. The galaxy was changing, slowly, but changing. And in a small training facility in Seoul, a former mercenary and a former princess taught students from different worlds how to understand each other,